Well, hello everybody. Pastor Randy here. Welcome to Making It Simple. Thank you for joining me on this beautiful Wednesday. I hope that you've had a great day so far. I want to finish up our talk on commitment. We've talked about a personal commitment and a relational commitment. But what about the commitment to go? We turn back to Joshua, and the people said unto him as they were venturing forward in their journey, "We'll go where you say go, we'll do what you say do." What does that mean? In the grand scheme of things, when we look at the word commitment, that's a pledge to do something. But we see kind of the differential in life today. And one makes a promise, one makes a commitment. There's two different things. Those that committed to say they were going to go, that meant they were all in. They were saying whatever the circumstances that present themselves, difficult, easy, high, low, hot, cold, whatever the case, we're all in. Physically, in the most literal sense, whatever the case, emotionally invested, everything. Now, we can look at that from different perspectives when we talk about our service to the Lord. Whether, again, we physically go somewhere, like on a mission trip type thing, we financially support a missionary who can go where we can't. But no matter what the circumstance is, it requires a commitment. In other words, I take this serious. We don't see that so much in the world because the examples that are set forth for us are oftentimes empty words. We don't have to turn any further than the world of politics. Now, again, that's not a subject that I like to get into a lot on this platform simply because I don't have a very high opinion of it. I'll be honest about it. Because what we've seen over the last multiple years, not just recently in all the just foolishness that happens today, but over years, we've seen the pledges and promises. I'm going to do this. I'm going to fix that. I'm going to change this. I want to make that. All these other things. And people, well, they buy into it. Man, that's our guy. That's our gal. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. They're going to build this. They're going to fix this. They're going to make everything better. We're going to send them our money. We're going to give them our time. We're going to go to the rallies. We're going to buy the hats and all this and that. And as that fuse is getting closer to the main body of that firecracker, it crackles and it pops and it snaps and all that, only to get to a big dud. Nothing. It was empty words. Nothing happened. Commitment means to see it through. Commitment is a major, major component of what God is calling us to transition from just being words only into being action, into being hearers only into being action. We see those in Joshua's time. They were saying no matter what, no matter the circumstances, again, high, low, hot, and cold, whatever the case, it doesn't matter. We're going forward. We're going to go where you say go. We're going to do what you say do because we believe that this is a command given unto you by God. They weren't following Joshua just because it was Joshua, but they truly believed that he heard from God. This is the foreshadowing, if you will, of what the body of Christ should be. God has put forth the message to go forth and tell all. God has made that clear. He said, teaching them to observe that which I have commanded you. What did Jesus teach? What did he command? Love God, love one another. That is a visible fruit. That is a visible, tangible, literal thing that you can see. But that takes commitment. That takes commitment to go as he says go, do as he says do. We've seen division take over everywhere. And sadly, the church has not been exempt. We go beyond the denominational boundaries of the Baptists and the Presbyterians and the Methodists and the Catholics and on so on and so. We go so much further than that. The internal divide over the arguments and the schisms and the this and the that have completely depleted the power of the church. And that's not to say that God has lost his power. We've just unplugged the cord. The power source is still there. But we've become so consumed by the internal struggle over who's right and who's wrong, and who can do this and who can do that, and what should we support and what should we, that we have truly, truly fulfilled the prophetic words of Revelation. We've left our first love. And when that is no longer the center of our focus, when that is no longer the core of who we are, oh, it's on the board, and it's on the sign, and it's on all the books, and it's on all the placards and the constitutions, but it's not committed to. The commitment now is to, we got to do whatever it takes to keep the building full. We've got to do this. We've got to do that. We've got to pursue this. We've got to. Jesus said, without me, you can do nothing. Apart from me, you can do nothing. And so if we've left our first love, then that means we've removed ourselves voluntarily. Because the word leave, that's exactly what it means. I got up and walked away. You see, God has called the church, the body of Christ, to accomplish the goal of sharing Christ with others, with the world. It's our job. We have the ability to do it. 1 Peter 2:9 says, but you are a chosen generation, meaning that when we come into that family, you're part of the group. He said, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people that you should, this is the assignment given to you, show truth. You should show the praises of him who called you out of the darkness into the marvelous light. So here's our question. Are we committed to that? Are we committed to go? We should be. God gave Jesus in our place when we were at our most unworthy place. Not that any of us are worthy of his grace and mercy. That is his extension of love. But it says that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. Are we committed to go as he says go and do as he says do? Or are we committed to more about arguing and fighting and finding, I want it my way? Personal commitment, relational commitment, the commitment to go. This is a major component of the transition in coming to be a true witness for Christ. It's who we are. In other words, we're not going to quit. Paul says, I press toward the mark, the upward call of God. I press toward. That means forward. I keep going. If we think about that in a race, the finish line is where? Ahead of you. The finish line is always in front of you. So what are we committed to? Are we committed to the journey? Are we committed to the mission? Are we committed to the call of God? Or are we committed to listening to the world telling you you can't do anything? I saw this illustration. It's about a lady named Wilma Rudolph. She was born prematurely. She had a lot of physical issues, some medical issues. She developed pneumonia, and she had a twisted leg and polio and a bad foot, and pretty much all the odds were against her. Most would have told her, you don't have a chance to do anything. You're never going to have a normal life. You're just going to be here. She would have been pretty much a special needs child. For 11 years, she wore a brace on her leg. But during that 11 years, she committed herself to not staying in that place. And she learned to walk without that brace. Not only did she learn to walk without that brace, she learned to run. And she fell in love with sports. And in 1956, she competed in the Olympics. That's right. She got on the team and she won the bronze medal for the 400-meter rally or relay. Let me say the word right. 4 years later, she was even more committed because she knew she could do it. And 4 years later, she won the 100, the 200, and the 400, setting world records in all of this. Friends, we've been called to impact the kingdom work of God. What are we committed to? Are we going to be told that we've got a bum leg, or we've got some shortcomings, and we can't do it? See, God doesn't call the qualified. God qualifies the called. And so regardless of whether we've got a bent foot, or we're not the wealthiest person in town, we don't have a private plane, we don't have the biggest house on the hill, we don't have the largest bank account, does any of that get in the way of doing what God asks us to do? It shouldn't. And the only way that it does is we allow it to. What we hear and what we listen to are very important. What we commit to is extremely important. Will you make a commitment to Him today? To go where He says go, to do what He says do, to help others see Jesus. Because I believe that if we will commit personally to that, if we'll commit relationally to that with others, and we'll commit to go, we can plug our cord back into our power source and resume the power that God says that we have individually and collectively as the body of Christ. And we can make a difference, a massive difference in this world. And this process of transitioning into who God has called us to be just keeps getting better and stronger. And ultimately, we will see the reward of that. We will see the fruit of that as we will receive one day the return of Christ, as we will hear those beautiful words, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." It's not about how many listen. It's not about how many receive. It's about your willingness and your commitment to go. I'm talking to me too. We all need to think about that. God bless you. Thank you for joining me here for Making It Simple today on this beautiful Wednesday. Tomorrow, Lord willing, we're going to continue looking at Joshua. And we're going to talk about moving from fear to faith, because fear has overtaken this world. In the last couple of years, it's gotten worse than it's ever been. I want to show you through this passage, I want to show you through this story, this illustration, it doesn't have to be that way. God bless you. I'll see you later.